In 1688, a young medical student in Switzerland had a problem. Soldiers were wasting away. Swiss mercenaries, hired out to foreign kings, and no wound could explain it. They stopped eating. Their hearts stuttered. Some of them died. He decided he was looking at a disease, and a disease needs a name. So he reached 3,000 years back into a Greek poem and stitched a name together from its pieces. Nostos, the homecoming. Algos, the pain. Nostalgia, the ache for home. The poem he borrowed from? It's the one Christopher Nolan just turned into one of the biggest opening weekends of his career, the Odyssey. 10 years of war, 10 years of trying to get home, and a woman who never stopped waiting. Tonight I want to read Nolan's film through the word it gave us, because for 2 centuries, doctors believed this feeling could kill you. And then, about 20 years ago, psychology discovered it might be doing the exact opposite. Nolan's film gives Homer's poem the full IMAX treatment. A real mechanical cyclops instead of CGI, sirens, a storm that takes the ship apart. But strip away the spectacle and the story is almost embarrassingly simple. A man named Odysseus wins a war. It takes him 10 years. Then he tries to go home, and that takes 10 more years because the world keeps offering him reasons to stop. Monsters, goddesses, islands where it would be so easy to just stay. Meanwhile, on Ithaca, his wife Penelope holds a kingdom together with nothing but patience and wit, surrounded by men who insist her husband is dead and one of them should replace him. His son Telemachus grows up with a father who exists only as other people's stories. Critics keep circling one phrase about this film: the terrible ache of homecoming. Because the film understands something the travel brochures don't. Home isn't a place you arrive at. After 20 years, the question isn't whether Odysseus can reach Ithaca. It's whether the man who arrives is still the man who left, and whether anyone will recognize him if he isn't. So, back to that Swiss medical student. His name was Johannes Hofer, and here's what he actually believed. The mercenary's symptoms, the racing hearts, the insomnia, the fading appetite, he traced all of it to one cause: thinking about home too much. He called it a cerebral disease. His theory was almost mechanical. The image of the homeland had worn a groove into the fibers of the brain, and those fibers just kept vibrating, playing the same picture over and over. And Europe took him seriously. For roughly 200 years, nostalgia sat in medical books as a real diagnosis. Soldiers were discharged for it. Doctors debated cures. It was treated as a malfunction, memory turned against its owner, which, if you think about it, is a very Odyssey-shaped idea. The siren song, the dangerous music of the past. In the film's most famous image, straight from the poem, Odysseus has his crew plug their ears with wax, but orders them to tie him to the mast, ropes tight, so he can hear the song without drowning in it. For 2 centuries, that's what medicine thought memory of home was, a song that pulls sailors under. Then, in 2006, 4 researchers, Wildschut, Sidikidis, Arndt, and Routledge, published a paper in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology with a title as dry as the finding was not. Nostalgia, content, triggers, functions. 7 studies, 1 question. What is this feeling actually doing? First, the trigger. What summons nostalgia most reliably? Low moods, and above all, loneliness. Nostalgia shows up precisely when connection is missing. Remember that. It matters for this film. Second, the content. When people described their nostalgic memories, they weren't slideshows of scenery. They were populated, close people, big moments, and the stories tended to bend toward redemption. Even sad beginnings curved up toward warmth. And third, the reversal. Measured against the 200-year-old diagnosis, the effects ran backwards. After nostalgizing, people reported stronger social bonds, higher self-regard, more sense that life has meaning. The song Hofer heard as a disease, the researchers measured as a resource. Not memory turned against its owner. Memory showing up on schedule, exactly when its owner is running on empty. The mercenaries weren't malfunctioning. They were lonely. Now take those three findings and lay them over the film like a transparency. Social bonds. Watch what Odysseus actually holds on to for 20 years. Not the palace, not the crown, a person. In the poem, a goddess offers him immortality, eternal youth on a beautiful island, and he sits on the beach and cries for a mortal woman growing old on a rocky one. Nostalgia's first function is to keep our people close when they're far. Odysseus runs on it like fuel. Self-continuity. Later studies by the same research group found nostalgia does something even stranger. It stitches your past self to your present self. It answers the question, am I still me? Odysseus loses everything that used to prove who he was. Ships, crew, even his name, which he famously tells the Cyclops is nobody. The one thread left is memory. The film's entire final act, a king disguised as a beggar in his own house, is a man whose identity exists only as remembered history, waiting to see if anyone can read it. And meaning. And Penelope. Every day she weaves a shroud. Every night in the poem, she secretly unweaves it, buying time, keeping choice alive. It's the same gesture as memory itself, a thing you keep working and reworking so that the past stays yours. Her waiting isn't passive. It's 20 years of actively refusing to let the story end without its meaning. One journey, one vigil, both running on the same fuel the 2006 paper measured in a lab. Now the honest footnote, because this channel doesn't do miracle cures, and neither does the research. Nostalgia is bittersweet by design. It shows up when something is missing. That's its trigger, remember. So it always carries both flavors at once. The warmth of what you had, the sting of the distance between then and now. The rope and the mast come as a set. You get to hear the song because something is holding you back from it. And the poem, 3,000 years ahead of the literature as usual, includes the failure case too. Early in the journey, this is in the poem, Odysseus's men land on the island of the lotus eaters. Whoever eats the flower forgets home entirely. No ache, no pull, no song. And they have to be dragged back to the ships, weeping. That's the poem's quiet argument. And maybe the film's too. The pain of missing home is not the malfunction. It's the compass needle. The men who felt nothing, they were the ones who were lost. Last time on this channel, we watched a man in Kokuho disappear into his mask. 50 years of becoming the performance. The Odyssey is the same question, run in reverse. Strip a man of every mask, every title, every proof, ship, crew, even his name. What's left that still knows the way home? For Odysseus, the answer was never a place on a map. It was a memory with people in it, which is exactly what the research found 3,000 years late. When we say home, we're rarely pointing at coordinates. We're pointing at a time and at who was in the room. So here's the question I'll leave you with tonight. When you miss home, and everyone misses some version of it, close your eyes. What comes back first? A place or a moment? And who's standing in it? Tell me in the comments. I read all of them. And if a film has ever named a feeling before you could, that's what this channel is for. Subscribe, and I'll see you on the next reel.